Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Thursday, July 25th, 2019. Want to go over some of the top headlines today. Share with you a little bit more about the rigged selection of Boris Johnson. Talk about the death of George Canning, the prime minister with the shortest time in office, lasting 119 days. What was so interesting about that? The announced resignation of the Puerto Rico governor. Another Masonic ritual, no doubt about it. More LGBTQT, however many letters in that acronym, related propaganda. The latest on Jeffrey Epstein. Supposedly his neck hurts. And the MGM, you might have heard about this today. MGM will redesign its uniforms after complaint of Holocaust imagery. That's a good one. We'll get to that. Another story today is 16 U.S. Marines arrested for alleged crimes, including human smuggling and drug-related offenses. It's at Camp Pendleton in California. And then a story that's big in international news but quiet here in the U.S. is an altercation between warplanes in 4 Asian nations. I want you to see what stands out about that story. Supposedly the incident took place earlier this week, Tuesday, July 23rd. And then another thing is right now, something buzzing in the headlines today, Trump, also on Tuesday, July 23rd, appeared before a presidential seal that had been altered. And in the middle in Spanish, it said 45 is a puppet. A couple other things about that. So we'll cover all those stories in the death of Rutger Hauer of Blade Runner. But I just realized the camera's on me and not where it's supposed to be. Let me fix the camera situation here. Okay, so Theresa May. Talked about this last time on my radio show. Just want to make sure people see the visual. Theresa May, she took office July 13th, 2016. And she left office yesterday, July 24th. Same day Boris Johnson assumed his position. And notice, from her first day to her last day was exactly 158 weeks on the nose, and Boris Johnson equals 158. And of course, even before Theresa May became the prime minister, there was chatter about Boris Johnson being the PM then. So it shows. All this time, it was well planned and executed by the numbers, as is always the case. Everything about Brexit, everything about the UK government, everything about the New World Order governments of the world is done by this code every single day. Boris Johnson 158, Freemasonry 158. And just to remind, there are 4 base ciphers. You want to know all 4. Notice Boris Johnson is also 67. Of course, Theresa May announced she was resigning June 7th, a date which can be written 6/7. The UK typically writes it 7/6, but US, we write it 6/7. So it's not hard to see why June 7th she announced she was resigning. Notice Boris Johnson's also 59 and 166. Look at Freemasonry. 59. 59 is the 17th prime. Modern Freemasonry established in 1717. That 166 in his name, Secret Society 166. The numbers aren't arbitrary. And remember, we talked about how Boris Johnson and Donald Trump, how they have the same haircuts and similar letters in their name when you use Jewish Gematria. Boris Johnson 1109, Donald 119. Donald Trump had the predictive programming for his presidency and the CERTA ad from years before. Talking to sheep 11 and 9, wearing the same suit and tie he wore for election night, talking to sheep number 9. When you add 1 through 9 together, it equals 45, like him being number 45. Well, that number 119, as we well know here, is a very special number. And the shortest reign as the PM in UK history was 119 days by George Canning. Came to a premature death. And notice the name George Canning is 119. He died 119 days from his birthday. Born April 11th, dead August 8th, 1827. Dead 119 days after his birthday. He also died at age 57. Notice George equals 57, just like how George Washington was inaugurated at age 57. England's 57. Scottish Rite's 57. Not hard to see what's going on. It's all masonry. So, by the way, with regards to this man dying August 8th, 88, remember arsenic poisoning equals 88 and poison equals 88. The abbreviation for arsenic is AS. A is the first letter, S is the 19th, 119. Again, arsenic's been used all throughout history to kill people without a trace. Now, this Puerto Rico governor, Ricardo Rosello, he's reportedly resigning because somebody found his private messages that exposed that he was homophobic. And take a look. From his birthday to the day he announced he was resigning, July 24th, yesterday was 139 days later. If you've been following my main channel, I'm posting on my backup channel right now, or my sports channel, because my main channel got suspended on my birthday, thanks to YouTube. But if you've been following my main channel, we've been talking about all of the LGBTQT propaganda in the headlines, and it's always the same thing. 58, 139, quoted every single time in these stories. 139, LGBTQT, 58. Freemasonry is 139 and 58. And Puerto Rico's also 58. See how that goes? So it was 139 days after his birthday. If you count the span of 140 days, Puerto Rico's also 140. So both ways it's relevant. 139 days after his birthday or his 140th day of his age. But again, news by the numbers, and all of this stuff contributes to one narrative. You know, you can't question the agenda, if you will. And it is an agenda. Jeffrey Epstein, also in the headlines today, July 25th. Supposedly he was found injured with scratches to his neck. And they're saying they might have been self-inflicted. He might be trying to escape his jail cell so he can get back in his home. But just realize the news comes on a date with 71 numerology. Fitting day to hear about Jeffrey Epstein, 71. And with regards to neck, it's that one part of the body that sums to 33, the number they love to code again and again. Remember, he's in there for sex crimes. In the prior videos we've talked about with Epstein, we've talked about the 33 encoding. Sex is 33. When you write out 33, it's 66, like his current age. Of course, he's in New York, 33. So, looks like more Epstein news by the numbers to me. Of course, Masonry, secrecy, order, they're all 33. And for a little bit more 33, how about this? MGM will redesign its uniforms after a complaint of Holocaust imagery. And I'm sure there's a reason they got this 8 p.m. here in the corner with the 6-pointed star. But this comes out of the MGM near Cleveland. And right away, it's one of those I see what they did there type of things. Holocaust. Notice in the two reduction ciphers, 3348, Cleveland 3348, MGM 3348. If you want to add to your 3348 list, think about where all your Holocaust Hollywood history lessons come from. Hollywood sums to 48 and 33. We know who runs Hollywood. For a bit more 33 in the headlines. 16 U.S. Marines arrested for alleged crimes, including human smuggling and drug-related offenses. Notice when you write out 16, it's that number that sums to 33 like Marine. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse, it's 39 like Marine. Masonry is the exact same. Notice 16 also sums to 96 like Freemason, 93 like propaganda. So 16 Marines arrested. This happened at Camp Pendleton, California, which equals 226. Remember, when you write out 226 as a word, it sums to 93. Think of the 93 World Trade Center bombing on February 26th. Planet is 226. Saturn is 93. Saturn's connected to judgment. We're talking about Marines being arrested for their crimes. 226 also sums to 96, the other number encoded in 16. Camp Pendleton also happens to be 60, like Marine, like police, like order. But looks like more news by the numbers. And with regards to them smuggling humans and drugs, supposedly, Camp Pendleton, California is also 109. Military's 109. Smuggling's 109. Military and smuggling are both 44. This news comes on Thursday, July 25th, 2019, a date with a life lesson number of 44. Reminds me of the American Gangster story. Supposedly a man in Harlem went over and talked to his cousin in Vietnam, and next thing you knew, they were using the military to smuggle in enough heroin to drown the East Coast, as if that's a believable story, as if it wasn't the federal government using the military to funnel in the drugs. Most wars have a lot to do with drug and human trafficking. These 16 guys might be the fall guys that help participate. They might have even just been following orders. Now they're being punished for those orders. Again, Marine 60, order 60. Now there's a guy in the truth community, he likes to call the military order followers. And, we really are a nation of military culture, and we really are a nation of order followers. We are a military nation through and through. That same person I'm talking about, Mark Passio, he also likes to discuss natural law and, how we're not following natural law, which is why the world's so messed up. And again, a lot of that goes back to the military too. Military screws people up. You are taught to be a killer. You are taught to follow orders rather than think for yourself. You're taught pretty much everything that goes against human nature. And so many people in this nation, their families, themselves, their military, and that culture spreads. Just like my mom's family, family of 9 children, bunch of baby boomers, and, they had a real strict military father who's fought in those wars from his era. And I got to tell you, man, they raised a pretty messed up family. And I think all of their behavioral problems that they've all suffered from their whole life, I think it all comes from their father and what happened to him when he was in the military. So, and their story is not unique. Anyway, this story right here, warplanes from 4 countries face off in Asian confrontation. Here it is right here. Warplanes from 4 countries faced off Tuesday in a chaotic and unprecedented confrontation above a small disputed island off the coast of South Korea and Japan. And 4. Again, military is 44. 44 is the rep digit of 4. Asian, 4 Asian nations, Asian 44. And this happened on July 23rd, 2019. That was a date with a life lesson number of 42. Again, war is 42. World War is 42. Freemason is 42. A lot of things have to do with war are 42. Guns 42, ammo's 42, et cetera, et cetera. And they said this happened over an island off Japan and South Korea. Japan's also 42. The terminology of warplanes equals 134, like Tisha B'Av. And remember, Tisha B'Av is connected to World War I, supposedly connected to the beginning of the Holocaust as well. So Tisha B'Av has relevance to the world wars. See if they do anything to stir up the nations of the world this coming August 10th and August 11th weekend. Those are the days of Tisha B'Av. Is there anything else to this story? Let me go back and see. Chaos. Chaos. Remember, chaos is 19, like we're in 2019. Order out of chaos, the Masonic agenda. So here's another good one. Trump appears in front of this doctored presidential seal. You can see the golf clubs here, the double head on the eagle. It's hard to make out this writing, but the USA Today article says that in Spanish, it says 45 is a puppet. But look at this. Supposedly, the group responsible is a conservative group of students that go by TPUSA or Turning Point USA. Look at this. TPUSA 77. Number we're always talking about. DC on the 77th meridian. United States 77. Power 77. Secret Society 77. TPUSA also 58, like Freemasonry, like Secret Society, like United States, like Washington, like Donald Trump, the winner of the 58th U.S. presidential election. The name Turning Point USA 218, 218 and 88. And supposedly they did this thing to, I guess make Trump look silly. And they're saying it was just an accident. Quite an accident. But Trump, 88 and 218. When the election was called for Trump, Hillary Clinton was on 218 electoral votes. Number we've talked about with Trump a whole lot since. It was Zenith of the Alpha who first made the observations about 218. Great work by him. Turning Point USA, also 74, like Masonic. Isn't it funny how everything always points in one direction? Turning Point USA, 187, like Washington, D.C., like George Washington, like ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, like how Trump's convention was on July 18th, 18/7, span of 187 days from Inauguration Day. Like how he came out to Queen, We Are the Champions, by the numbers synced up with Queen Elizabeth. No doubt Trump's a puppet. We've been pointing it out nonstop since 2015. This also happened July 23rd, 2019, the date with 42 numerology. 237, the prime factors of 42, 2 times 3 times 7, 42. Look at the headline, 45 is a puppet, 42. Freemason, 42. It isn't hard to see. And by the way, with regards to Trump and Puppet, Puppet 68, The Apprentice is 68, Donald John Trump 68, Dolph 68. So they said in the seal they tucked in Spanish that communicated those words. 45 es un títer. 45 is a puppet. And I mean, that's just the other thing to it. Isn't it just so obvious to see how they just set up these, narratives to just divide the people of the nation? Donald Trump, when he's campaigning, he speaks harshly against Mexicans and Muslims numerous times. And then he also, when he speaks harshly, then he comes back and says, oh, I love all people. And he plays it both ways, but he still gets these statements out there that buzz and cause the division. And then look at what happens a couple years into his presidency. Then who's he fighting with every single day? He's fighting with a Mexican woman or a Hispanic woman. He's fighting with a Muslim woman, It's just such an obvious, shit show. Contrived puppet shit show is what it is. And they're both women too, just like how it all started with him fighting with Hillary. So the puppet show is just too obvious. Now you got the Chump and Boris Johnson, both from New York City with the same haircut, the same numbers, the same Masonic rituals behind them, and there's still people who are thinking like, oh, these guys, they're fighting the New World Order. No. Nope. Not at all. They are the New World Order. They are absolutely a part of it. And then just for one more thing, yesterday in the news, you had the death of Rutger Hauer, actor from Blade Runner. He died at age 75, and he didn't die yesterday, July 24th, but that's the day they announced the news. He died 5 days earlier, July 19th, but this is the day the headlines broke. And from his last birthday, January 23rd, to the day the news broke was 183 days. Blade Runner's 183, what's emphasized in the headlines. Keep in mind, Order Out of Chaos is 183 and 75. Again, it's the year of chaos. It's the Masonic motto. He's dead at 75. They released it 183 days from his birthday. But the day he died, July 19th, that was a date with 65 numerology. His name equals 65. Amazing how often that happens. And July 19th was also a date with 38 numerology. Death, murder, killing, RIP, they're all 38. So we'll leave it there. I'll just say, if you are not subscribed to my main channel, I will be back on there as soon as the suspension's over. But the main channel is right here, Gematria Effect News. And a lot of the things I'm talking about, if you go back to this channel, get more information. So, and if you're trying to improve your YouTube skills, if you ever go to a channel and you scroll over to where this magnifying glass is and you search for a keyword, you'll find all the videos in that channel you're looking at that are related to that topic. So say I wanted to learn about, the UK Prime Minister by the numbers, I might type in Theresa May and see what comes up. Because everything about Theresa May was by the numbers, not just her exit for Boris Johnson. So, and it's often all the same themes. So we'll leave it there. Got to take the sweet lady to the dentist. Until next time.